Welcome to the Talking Content podcast. Today we have a very special guest joining us. Jess Ross from BISE Property is joining us to talk all about her content journey. We're going to be talking about the types of content that performs best for her. We're going to be talking about the surprising content that she doesn't spend that much time on but performs especially well. And we're going to talk about how you can hire paid actors for less than you might think to come and help you with photo shoots and video shoots to help create extra content to make your content marketing look even more polished. So without further ado, let's jump into the podcast with Jess Ross.
I find that in terms of the content that really works, as you and I have talked about, is kind of like the raw, on the fly, recording some little small videos of just being at a property, and then putting them together in a reel. And, obviously we all see these new day in the lives and things like that, and they do keep people watching. But I've found more, sometimes just the raw stuff, if the kids are at the open home with me, or if you've got keys stuck, or funny sort of stuff. In saying that, not so much too raw because you want to look experienced, but it shows that you're a real property manager and these things happen. So that stuff has tended to, gain great results. But I have also found educational, definitely, because the educational stuff that we've been working on specifically in the past 3 months has had people sort of reach out to me to ask more questions or to comment about things like that. So I think the educational content does have a bit more of attraction at the minute, because there's lots of changes for us in Vic, as you know. So that I would say real and educational. Yeah, real and raw, off the fly, and educational.
And so are you finding that your real and raw stuff gets better engagement, but your educational stuff gets maybe
more
DMs
leads
and
and
questions?
more followers and more business conversation going. So raw and real is like everybody's having a laugh and everybody's having a pat on the back. That's your peers, that's your your co-workers, and that's the people that are following you that aren't in your network as such. So that's what's the raw. But then you get the ones with the education that are watching from a business point of view, I think, and what value do you have to offer to people?
Yeah,
Sure.
cool.
Yeah.
And have you had any content that has totally flopped that you were expecting would do really well, but then totally
Yes.
flopped and you're like, oh, what did you
Yeah.
learn?
I think sometimes if you spend too much time on something, it just is like that took forever and then no one liked it. And I've seen like other people go, man, that took forever, and then no one liked it. So, yeah, making it too perfect definitely is something that is always a flop, I think. It's too like, I don't know, in real estate, you have the shiny, look at me agents, the cars and the watches and the haircuts. I guess for my demographic too, though, I am a mum of 4. I am a female solo business owner. I have a real passion for property management and tenants at all arms. So tenants, landlords, tradies. Whereas the shiny people, for me, I just say they want to do deals. They want to do deals and get paid. That's what I see. So yeah, maybe their reels do well when they spend all that money on that, making it perfect. I do not know. But for me, if I was to make something perfect, my raw and real and off the fly gets way more traction than a perfect post. Yeah.
No, it's crazy, isn't it? And it's disappointing when you spend all this time on something beautiful.
Oh gosh, yeah. It's like, what the hell?
So you've had BISE property for 17 months
17
at
months.
the
Yeah.
time we're recording this.
Yes.
What has changed about how you're doing your content? Are there things that you've stopped doing? Are there things that you've started doing?
Well, when opening BISE, content was all about letting people know who I was and what BISE was and the brand, as you know. So it was all about showing to the marketplace and showing out there that I am out there and a force to be reckoned with. Just showing people that this is her, this is what she does. And mind you, as you know, I've done this for half my life. So I've been in property management and real estate for 20 years. So I know the job, but it was about building the brand at the start with content. And then as the brand has evolved and as people are like, okay, what's this? What is this business? What do they do? I guess the content that's changed now in the past few months, it's showing, okay, where to from here? What can she offer? How does her services, so it has been a shift in the past 6 months because we've had lots of changes in our legislation as well. And it's all about education and awareness for all the minimum rental standards and the gas and safety checks. So now the brand is already there. Now it's about showing everybody what we do, in the job and what our services are, and whether that's, selling, leasing, owners corporation. There's lots to share, as you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this seems like a good time to ask you about your startup journey. And because we haven't started with your startup journey,
Yeah.
tell us how BISE Property came to be.
It came to be post-COVID. My sister and my partner were talking about you should go out on your own, because when we were working from home during COVID, I was still doing the same job. I'd been at the same company for the whole time, but I had decided that maybe this could be something that I could do from home, and maybe this is something that we could build from scratch. Absolutely terrifying going out on your own, because all that I knew was a weekly wage, a company, support around me. So the fear factor was definitely there. But how it came about was my sister and my partner and I talking, looking at, okay, what would it cost to go out on your own? And then doing some numbers and then just deep diving. So yeah, so that's how it came about. And then we just decided to open up BISE. And the name obviously came from the 4 kids, Bodhi, Ivy, Sophie, and Ella. So that's where BISE comes from. And then, deep diving into what would the brand look like? What were the colors going to be like? What was the mood going to be like? What was, so that was a journey within itself. And I was really underestimated the process around that. Linked in with Kylie Walker, who helped me, as a startup. She was a really great mentor for me and helped me the steps that were involved in opening up a business from scratch. And I spent 6 months with her, and she taught me so much information about social presence, what it's like to be online, how you're going to be seen, how you're going to attract clients. So that 6 months in the first startup of building BISE from scratch, I was very supported by her and her team and how it was going to look. And I think that really gave me the confidence to go, okay, this is really going to happen. So yeah.
And so can I sidetrack and ask how you ended up with the coloring and the branding that you did? What was that journey like?
So Sean, who's my web designer from Noise, and he sent me a Google Doc, and it had like 40 questions on it. And I was like, "Oh, how am I going to answer this?" So this is for him to create the brand, create the, the look of it all, the website, the assets, everything. And I freaked out when I got this Google Doc, because it was deep diving questions into me, how I am with my job, how I feel about clients. And it took me a while to get this document to him. I kept on texting him going, wow, this is really deep. How do I answer this? Because I know how to do my job, but how am I putting this out to the world? And so once I finished that document with him, we originally said no to color. I wanted black and white. And then he was like, came back with the elephant emerald green, and no whites. He's came back with the cream. So he was really, I don't know how he got it all, but anyway, it's absolutely perfect. But that's what his job is, obviously, to do this. So when he came back after the Google Doc was done and presented me with, the style and what it will look like, I was just gobsmacked. But I had to trust and invest in someone like that. And I think that's one of the biggest things too that I am proud that I didn't skimp on, because there's so many startups that go cheap. I shouldn't say cheap and nasty, but you need to make sure that this looks perfect and good and professional online. You're up against some of the biggest brands and things like that out there that have all this stuff at their fingertips. And it was really daunting, spending that and going through that process, but I know that it's paid off now in the long run for me. It's a big point of difference in even my marketplace, and I've had so many compliments about the brand and the way that it looks and the colors and how professional it looks is, some of the most nicest comments that I've received since going live. Yeah.
And I love how your brand colors have given you the simplicity of and the cleanliness of black
Mm,
and white without
mm.
being black and white.
Yes, that's right. And just those greens when we want to use them, just those creams. Um, yeah, it's not just like a cookie cutter. Like if you go on, and what he did was, he went on REA and he was like, well, look when we're going through. And he actually gave me some evidence of there's lots of black and white agents out there. He's like, whereas if you're going to use a bit of the creams and the greens, the different typography and things like that, he's like, that's a point of difference, on the REA, when they're scrolling through, it's like, oh, who is that? Because there were so many, I didn't realize how many black and white businesses there were, even in my catchment. So he nailed it right there with popping in some color, just a
You
little
really
bit. I
did.
mean, yeah,
You
yeah.
really did. And so you've got a beautiful professional image, but I
Mm,
know that you also share some personal stuff and some
mm,
personality.
mm.
Have there been things that you've shared maybe in your content online that's been personal and not so much business related, but has resonated with your audience?
Yes, definitely. Again, the mum thing is a bit of a card. There's so many mums out there in real estate, or so many mums, working mums out there, not even just in real estate, but things like that. And I think the juggle and the struggle is real. So sharing, again, if the kids are at an open for inspection, or yesterday, for example, I was on my lunch break at the laundromat and I just did a quick video. Like I did 4 loads of laundry in 1 hour. Instead of sitting at home and just getting off in my computer, I took 4 baskets of laundry down to the laundromat, threw them in the huge laundry machine, dried them an hour later and home. And yesterday I got so many comments going, oh my God, that's a super mum, that's a super business owner. You know what I mean? Just little, and I'm not doing it for that. It's just sharing, like I am at the laundromat and this is what, it's lunch hour. So I think again, sharing raw and real things that are going on in your life on social media does help you build trust, and that's one of our 3 core values is trust, knowledge, and collaboration. So shows trust in what you're doing and how you're working on your brand and your business. Yeah.
And do you ever feel pressure to be like constantly creating and constantly online?
Not now I have you.
But you also create, like we create your monthly content, but you
Yeah, I
also
think I think
create
the
your
social
content
I
too.
think if I was doing it myself all the time, like we have our quarterly meetings and I love them, but I don't feel pressure so much with my social media. I don't, because I've always been happy to share online too. That's my bubbly personality, even in my personal Facebook and my personal life. Like my friends will always say, even if I've gone off like, my cooking or, I'm always sharing my Thermomix stuff and just day in the life of Jess as always. I've been confident with that the whole time. So with work social media, it kind of comes part and parcel because it is just me. It is what I'm doing. It is what I love. And maybe if I do go a little bit quiet, sometimes my best friends go, where's Jess been? Like, what's going on? And that might be because I'm super busy with work and then my personal stuff hasn't been as firing. And I'll say, I'm still here, I'm flat out or whatever. But sometimes the girls will call me out on my food going, haven't had any updates on what you've been cooking and eating. And I get a lot of messages from that too when I do like weekly cook-ups and things like that. I get lots of people, lots of mums and people going, oh, that's such a great idea. I'm going to do that next week, for my kids. So social media is definitely a very powerful tool for connection. That's one thing that I can definitely say. Connection with others, definitely.
And it sounds like people miss you when you're
Yeah, they're
not
like, what are
there.
you doing? Where are you? Because I'm
Yeah.
such a busy lady. They're like, what's going on? You've been quiet. So, yeah, I don't feel the pressure. I definitely not feel the pressure as such, but you can see that as you and I talk about all the time, consistency plays a massive part in this social media world. Yeah.
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 Awesome. So can I ask you about whether you've ever reused any of your content? Like, have you
Hmm.
ever either repurposed or just straight up reused any of your content that's performed well in the past?
I have reused on my Instagram is my first video that we shot, which was my promo video, I guess you could say, which had a videographer and I had my sister-in-law who did all the photography and we were at a property and we had people come and it was like an open home and it's showing, BISE and what we do. I have repurposed that quite a few times over 17 months, kind of every 5 to 6 months. I just, do a bit of a boost. And I tend to get a hell of a lot of new followers going, oh, wow, what's this? Because it's such a professional, lovely, beautiful video of BISE, and it draws them to the website and things like that. So that's probably the one biggest one that I have repurposed, and that's every 4 to 5 months. And it's pinned on my social media. But occasionally it gives me like a reminder, oh, that was a really special time. We shot that before BISE opened. That was our launch. So I like to reuse that because it reminds me of like a really special time. And again, it creates more conversation too, once it's boosted and it's out there for a week. So that's one of the ones. And I wouldn't say repurposed actually like the reels and things, but sometimes I'll repurpose things like my virtual tours that are very powerful. Yeah, so my when I'm at a property and I'm shooting a virtual tour with my 360 camera, I find that a lot of my virtual inspections get a lot of traction. Um, and again, conversations about what sort of camera is that, how does it work? So it's two things. One, it's from peers in the industry that haven't invested in that sort of technology yet. They'll ask about it. Or the other way is clients and people, giving praise about how great the reporting is and what we do for our clients. So yeah, they're probably the two main ones that I've repurposed the most.
Yeah, cool. So, can I take you back to your promo video? Because
Mm,
if anyone goes to your Instagram account and watches that promo video, they will recognize that you're not the only person in that video.
mm.
And you have a process for
Yes,
hiring people to be
yes.
involved in your videos
Content.
and photos. Can you tell us about this? Because a lot of people don't know that you can hire people for this.
Yes. So I'm in a lot of Facebook groups for lots of things. And when I was doing the ideas behind this promo video and hiring this house, and I'd asked a friend in the industry if I could borrow one of their homes, which was for sale. And I had my sister-in-law, who's a professional photographer. She came down from Echuca. So we had a running sheet and we had an agenda, but then we needed people. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go into Melbourne Actors Facebook group and add myself. And I just could see that there were so many little gigs that people would do to show up, for content. And so I just put a post on there saying I'm shooting for my brand and my business for real estate, going to be launching soon. And I would like some actors to come for 1 hour of their time, because it's very quick what you can do within an hour if it's run properly and professionally. And I had, a family with 2 children. I had the couple, then I had the single person, and I had the demographic that I wanted to show, sitting at the kitchen bench, signing up a contract, shaking their hands at the open for inspection. So what you see in that promo video are a group of actors that I hired for an hour for a very small fee, but just they were super pumped to use the content for their own their own media as well and their own promo stuff. So they got given all the content, they got given all the professional photos, and they came for a small hourly fee. And yeah, and again, as you know, we've just reshot another property recently. So 17 months later, I reached out again to the same Facebook group on the actors, and again, we had 5 of them come for 1 hour, and we're just building a diary and a way of what we want to do to shoot it out there. So it shows, I think, well, to the people out there, I don't know, maybe we should be asking them. But for me, what I see is shows that I am an agent, I am a person, I am conducting these things. And I think it looks really nice. I think it looks better than just, me standing in a house going, lease with me, you know.
I agree. I like that it shows the real human side of that transaction.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and so I can hear our audience asking lots of questions
Hmm.
about this. So you mentioned you pay an hourly
Yep.
fee to the actors.
Yep. So I just
And
gave them an envelope at the end of the hour. I
yeah,
had it already organized. They do ask, is it a paying job? What's the hourly rate? And um, they're not required to do anything other than just show up, and we tell them like what they're going to be doing. Like we'll say we're going to be shooting a scene at the front door, shaking hands. Then Jess is going to ask 2 of you to sit at a dining table. Then we're going to be walking through a home. So it's very well run. And sometimes they're not doing anything for the whole hour. They're just there for 15 minutes as such. One of them was there for like 20 minutes and just stuck around to see if there's anything else. So yeah, and then I just give them chocolate and an envelope of a little bit of some pocket money, and then away they go. And
and then they also keep the content that can
Yeah,
go
so
into
when
their
I get the Google
portfolio.
Drive back of all of the images, I share it with all of them so they can repurpose it for themselves, whether or not they want to use it for their portfolios. They're not repurposing it until I've gone live, which is fine. But then they have links to my website, which they can tag them in as well, or they can use the images once I've started using it on my social media. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's
Yeah.
really, really cool. Really cool.
I think too, one of the reasons why I've done it is because I'm a small business owner and you see other bigger brands that have the videographer at OFIs and things like that. And I always wonder, like, do they have permission from all these people that you're shooting faces? And I know there's a Privacy Act and things like that, but for me as an only business owner and I'm going to an open home, I would feel a little bit awkward going, okay, my camera's on the kitchen bench. Can I shoot this of you guys walking around for a inspection? Whereas I like to do it a bit differently for content reasons. I like to have it organized, them aware, a running sheet. Yeah, I don't know. For me, that maybe that's one of the reasons why I do it that way as well, because I don't think I could ask just random people at an open home, can I leave my camera in the corner over there and just video you talking to me about how much this property is for a week, you know? Yeah.
I think I would feel the same. And if I was a renter myself,
Mm.
I think I would feel uncomfortable about.
Yeah. Auctions could be different because they know it's a fanfare and things like that, but I'm predominantly property management. So even if I was to have a big open with 40 people, I don't think I'd feel comfortable in someone just going around, shooting content as such. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I would be the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a mix of now professionally shot, what I might call B-roll
Mm.
video, but then you also do some like on your phone direct to camera
Yes. Yeah.
videos. Have you noticed if one of those performs better than the other?
Uh, Again, it's kind of about what it's like because inspections and things like that with the camera in the virtual tour camera in the background, going through the kitchen, looking at those things, it shows yeah, it depends what it's like. If I'm talking in front of myself and I'm like, oh, I'm just here at 24 Smith Street and we're about to do an open for inspection and or I'm here at 24 Smith Street, let me show you what you can get for $850 a week. That does well, but again, it's just flipping the camera around and about a property. Whereas if it's something specific like take a look at how we photograph our virtual tours for our clients. This is the camera that we use, or this is the systems and processes that we use. So our owners have a bird's eye view. It's if that's the way it's done, then I find that one gets more traction. But if it's just me going, okay, we're here at 24 Smith Street, let me show you what you can get for $800 a week. No, because that's just the same cookie cutter, okay, rental video, in my opinion. But if it's talking about a specific thing that we can do for someone, I feel like it's way more traction for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So can I ask if you were to only make one type of content
Mm,
for the rest of your life,
mm.
what would it be?
I think a little bit of both. I'd combine both. If I could have an opportunity to go raw and real and educational in one hit, I would probably say that's what I would focus on because it's real, it's raw, and it's also to point.
I
Is
like it.
that a good
I
answer?
like it. That is a perfect answer.
Because you're giving them, what they want to see and how they want to hear it, but you're also leaving them with some value. And that's what it's
Yeah.
all about, yeah?
Yeah, it's that balance of the two, isn't it?
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Now, if people want to follow you on social media, where are
Mhm.
they best to head? We'll make sure to link you in the show
They
notes.
can head to my Instagram page, which is just Jess Ross and then BISE Property. So if you type my name in, it'll come up. And then you've got my website, which is just biceproperty.com.au. They're the two main platforms that you can find me on. LinkedIn is still a work in progress, as you and I know. I don't know, I should be all across it, but my confidence is still not there. I've heard that I'm missing out by not being on LinkedIn properly, but maybe that's the goal that you and I can achieve this year, I think.
I think it is, and I think I would very much like to. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for being here,
Thank
Jess.
you, Alan. It's been so good to chat to you. And as always, we always have a bit of a laugh, and I love just collaborating with you. And same thing for you, getting all those things out of me and putting them out into social media. I find you and your team invaluable, and just, making sure that I'm getting it all out and how it's meant to go professionally, and yeah, in the social media world. I can't thank you enough.
Oh, you're welcome. It's just a joy for us to work with you. Thank you so much, Jess.
Thanks, Alan.